What is up, my planting people? My name is Lithius and welcome to Roots Ready. Thank you so much for joining me today. Today is going to be a plant care guide video and I'm going to be talking about this beauty of a plant right here, this Begonia Rex, in particular Begonia Rex Etna. Before I start this video, I would like to caveat it by saying that any of the tips that I am going to be giving today is going to be based on my own personal experience, as well as that of some research that I have done on the internet as well. So without any further ado, let's start by looking at the origins of this plant. Begonias actually can be found in many regions around the world. So it ranges from Hawaii, Central and South America, Africa and Asia as well. Knowing where your plants come from is key to understanding and therefore providing the best care for your plant, because that tells you so much about the environment that your plant is used to. So we're going to start with something that all plants need, and that's sunlight. Begonias, the Rex begonias in particular, love bright and indirect light. Now, what does that mean? If you've watched any plant care guide videos before, you'll know it's a very common term. For me, what that means is direct morning sun, which is always a lot more gentle for your plant, versus afternoon sun, which is a lot more direct, hot, and can risk burning your leaves. So if you're going to be selecting a place for your plant, I would say some morning light or indirect afternoon light. So just make sure there's some sort of shade that can protect your plant from the harshness of that light. I find that the Begonia Rex doesn't like to get too dry, because what happens is the leaves will start to droop to the side of the pot, which shows you that the plant is in distress. So I try to water this plant closer to twice a week, just to ensure that that doesn't happen. Now that does mean that when you are selecting a soil type for your plant, to make sure that it's something that can hold on to just a little bit of water but not too much. So my go-to formula when I'm repotting this plant is around 70% standard house planting soil mix and around 30% perlite, or something that can help with that drainage. In terms of humidity, this plant will thrive in a higher humidity environment. Now that being said, I actually don't keep this plant in a room that has super high humidity. It would absolutely love it, but I find it does just fine in your average household humidity. For me, that is around 40 to 50%. In terms of the temperature, I wouldn't keep this plant in anything lower than 15 degrees Celsius or around 65 degrees Fahrenheit. So an average household temperature is actually perfect for this plant. When it comes to the size of this plant, it can get very large. This plant actually grows through underground rhizomes, which means that it's a crawler, it's a spreader, as opposed to a climber. But records have it that the leaves can get up to 6 inches long, and I can't wait for that to happen. If it does, I'll be a very happy buddy. So you can control how large your plant grows by the pot size. I try to keep mine at around this size. I kind of like this pot size, so I'm not planning to repot it anytime soon. But if you do want it to grow quite wide, quite large, definitely give it a bigger plant and it will fill it up in little to no time. This plant can be very easily propagated by leaf cutting. You can take a leaf cutting at the stem, put it in some water, or you can actually just take the leaf itself, cut it in half, and put it in some sphagnum moss or something, and it actually grow many little plants. So it's actually quite an easy one. And if you're someone who likes to experiment, likes to propagate, this one is the one to go for, I would suggest. The Begonia Rex is a captivating species. It is gorgeous. There's so many different colors, different types, different leaf shapes. I would definitely recommend the Rex. It's just an absolutely beautiful plant. This one in particular has a dark to lighter red leaves. The leaves actually shimmer in the sunlight. It's actually very gorgeous and captivating when you look at it. It's a shame that it doesn't quite show up on camera. I wish you could see it. But, you know, it's a really standout plant. It's an eye grabber. You can put it anywhere and people will be drawn to it. I find that it's actually an inexpensive plant. This one I was lucky enough to bag for around £6, which was a bargain to me. I didn't go out searching for it. It was there and I took it home and I couldn't be happier. Since that time, it has been a prolific grower. So if you're looking for something that grows really quickly, again, the Begonia Rex is the one for you. Because it grows so quickly, it does mean that you have to be on top of its pruning. So what I like to do is whenever I'm watering the plant, is just to go around, look at some of the yellowing, dying leaves and just take it off. Most of it just sort of breaks off with your hands, and yeah, just like that. Very, very easy to do. In terms of pests, this plant is prone to mealybug infestation. If you do come across it, deal with it appropriately. You can use natural or chemical pesticides to deal with it appropriately, depending on what you want to do. Other common issues is powdery mildew. Now that is a fungus, and that can affect the leaves, and you can see it by a powdery white substance. Sometimes it can mean that the leaves can actually just go dark and black. Other types of fungus and mold. That can actually come from it being in an environment that is too humid, where the fungus really, really loves to sort of settle on the leaves. So what I would recommend is that you keep this plant in a room that is well ventilated, just to prevent any of that powdery stuff going on. But it can be easily remedied with a fungicide that can take care of it very, very quickly. I would also recommend that you try not to mist your plant. Although it does prefer higher humidity, the water that's left on the leaf could actually promote powdery mildew and other fungus. So finally, in terms of toxicity, this plant is toxic to cats and dogs. So I would definitely recommend that you keep it away from pets and children as well. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you enjoyed and that you learned something. And as always, keep planting.